Salams and welcome. Thank you for joining me in another episode of the Quran in English Basics for Beginners. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Surah Anfal, the spoils of war, the booty of war. And we are busy still with the Battle of Badr and some guidelines and rules and regulations pertaining to warfare. And the side effect of warfare is the booty of war, or the treasures that you get. But as what we mentioned, the money or the treasures should never be the primary goal of the war that Muslims conduct, right? And for regard to Muslims, it is a defensive war, right? And know that out of all the booty that you may acquire in war, a fifth is assigned to Allah and to the Messenger and to near relatives, orphans, the needy, and the wayfarer. If you do believe in Allah and in the revelation we sent down to our servant on the day of testing, the day of the meeting of the two forces. For Allah has power over all things. Now this is very, very interesting, verse number 41. That out of all the booty, a fifth is assigned to Allah and to the Messenger, to near relatives, the orphans, the needy, the wayfarer, and so on. Now, isn't that absolutely amazing? So let us just remind ourselves, in Islam, the booty, which means the spoils of war, which means wealth, money, resources, property, land, gold, diamonds, and so on, right? This should never be the motivation for war. Never, 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 never. This is what Islam teaches. Never, never, never. Don't invade a country because you're going to get their money, their resources, and all of that, and you're going to spread tumult and oppression, because war gives you tumult and oppression. Right. So never ever do this. So Muslims don't invade other countries because they want to get their money and their land and the properties and so on. But other nations do that. The ones who are not Muslims, they do that. Why? Because other nations, and as what we mentioned, the triangle of wealth. I don't know if I've got that diagram somewhere here. Here's a triangle of wealth. The triangle of wealth says that the ultra super rich, these are known as the shadow forces, they want world control. They want hegemony. They want political hegemony. Hegemony means they want total control. Everyone must follow their type of politics. Everyone must follow their type's economy. Everyone must follow their type of culture, because they are the correct culture. They are the correct land. They got the correct way of voting. They've got the correct way of... So they are the ones who want to establish a global dominant world order, that everything must be done according to their way. And if you don't do it according to their way, they will remove you from power, or they will kill you, or they will assassinate you, or they will invade your land, and they will then control your land. So these ultra super rich, they are in control of the politicians, because they will decide who they want to put into power. They are also in control of the church or the state. They are in control of the universities and the academics and the professors, and they are in control of the law, of the judiciary system, and they are also in control of the media. So they will tell the media what to tell the people, because the media controls the people. We are all controlled by the media, whether it is the traditional media or whether it is the social media. All our information we get is from the media. Let's face it. Think about it. Let's think about it. If there's something happening in the world, what's the first thing you do? You open your newspaper, or you watch on television, or you look on your cell phone, you look on YouTube, you look at the latest video clips, you look on TikTok. Everything will be news headlines, news headlines, news headlines. Who said it? These ultra wealthy, they decide how to package the news. There are very few independent news media. So they will decide what you must see, when you must see it, and in what way it must be presented, so they are always presented in the best light. But sometimes the independent journalists and the independent media will say, you know what, we don't like what you're doing because you are spreading lies, and that is why in some cases the journalists are killed or the independent media are shut down because their funding is reduced. Their funding is removed and they are made to go bankrupt because they don't want the truth to go out. Because the media is very, very powerful, because the media is in control of the people. Now the super ultra elite, they're the ones who decide, we want more money, let's invade another land. So they will invade a land to get the spoils of war. They will make an excuse to make it sound that they are very good people, but they always talk with a double tongue. What they say and what they do are two different things. So they will say one thing to the media, but they will do something totally opposite when they do it. So you will have colonial invasion, you will have imperial invasion, all with the excuse that, you know what, there's human rights abuses there, and we are helping the people, we are giving them democracy, and the people are absolutely happy that we are there now. But meanwhile, they are interested in the resources of that country. They are interested in the properties and the land and the gold and the diamond and the oil, all of the natural gases that that land has got. But meanwhile, they will give a spin media, a spin talk propaganda to the media, so then everyone must keep quiet as to what their real purpose is. But in contrast to this, Islam says you must never ever do this. Never do this. Never go do colonial invasion. Never do imperial. Don't force your imperialism on other people. And don't have expansionist policies, because the entire earth belongs to Allah. And your sustenance is provided by Allah. Your rozi is written, your wealth is written. So if your wealth is written from Allah, then you see, here's your wealth. Your wealth is written. Now, when Allah has given you that wealth, and if you accept the wealth that is written by Allah, that is halal. But the minute you start stealing other people's money, whether you're stealing it at night as a small criminal, you break into people's homes, or you break into a person's business, or you do a hijacking of the armored cars, or you rob a bank or a jewelry store, or if one nation invades another nation through colonialism and imperialism and expansion, it doesn't matter how you do it. The fact that you have stolen someone else's resources, that makes it haram. It is illegal insofar as Allah is concerned. That is totally haram. But what Allah has written for you is halal. So that is why Muslims will never invade another land for their wealth and resources, because it is not halal for them. Every nation has been given their own resources. Africa has been given its own resources. America has been given its own resources. Australia has been given its own resources. Russia has been given its own resources. Britain has been given its own resources. So the deal, the rules of the game are stay in your own country, remove the resources of your own country and develop your own country and help other people. But don't go into other lands and nations. But people don't want to do that. But in contrast, if and when Muslims are forced to defend themselves, like how they did in the Battle of Badr, and in that case when they have the booty or the spoils, whether it's wealth or whatever they get from the battlefield, imagine, once again, who benefits? The poor, the widows, the orphans, the helpless. Look how beautiful Islam is. Islam talks about social justice, whereas these colonial powers, when they're invading other lands, they're not interested in social justice. In the invasion of colonial empires, the wealthy, the super rich are just going to get more rich. It is the rich looking after the rich. That is what colonialism and imperialism and expansionist policy is all about. The rich are going to get richer. Whereas in Islam, if and when there is a need for the booty of war, that money is shared amongst the poor, the orphans, the needy, the helpless. You build hospitals with it, you build schools with it. You make a difference in everybody's lives. So this is the beauty of Islam, and that is why more than 35 million per annum are embracing Islam, and it is growing at a very rapid rate, and at the moment it is the fastest growing religion on the face of the earth. And this is not because of the numbers of births, which some people say because out of their jealousy and envy. It's got nothing to do with the number of births. Thus we are talking about pure conversions. Yes, the number of births is increasing, but that's a separate statistic. The statistic that I'm referring to are people who are new Muslims, who have never been Muslims before, who are embracing Islam, and this is 35 million per annum, which is the fastest growing of any other religions. Right? So we are not saying that, oh, it's because of the number of births, because some people make comments, oh, because there's so many births amongst the Muslims. No, that's not the reason why the Muslim numbers are increasing. It is increasing because people are tired of lies and falsehood given by their own church or given by their own priests who are speaking about things that don't make mathematical sense. And so many people who are following the current religion are totally dissatisfied. Some people may call themselves Christians, but they don't attend church. Many of them have not even opened up a Bible. So how can you call yourself a follower of an ideology or a religion if you're not interested in that? And that is why, because of the dissatisfaction that many people find in their own teachings, they are now embracing Islam. And Islam, as we said, is the final divine scripture for all of mankind for all time to come. So if you do believe in Allah and in the revelation we sent down to our servant on the day of testing, the day of the meeting of the two forces, for Allah has power over all things. So in this case, it is the Battle of Badr. On the one hand, it is the people in Medina who have never had a war with the people of Quraysh, where the Quraysh are veteran soldiers and fighters, and so with all probability it would appear that the Quraysh, the people of Mecca, would win the war with a solid army of more than 1,000 and a poorly equipped army of 313 who are then facing them in this battle. Remember, you were on the near side of the valley, and they on the further side, and the caravan on the lower ground than you. Even if you had made a mutual appointment to meet, you would certainly have failed in the appointment. But thus you met, that Allah might accomplish a matter already enacted. Right, so the Muslims did not want to go into warfare. They preferred the easier option of the caravan. They say, there's no fighting involved there. They only had about 20 or 40 guards. We can surround them, without any bloodshed, and we can claim the goods that were stolen from us, because these were our goods that they took from us from Mecca when we left Mecca. So they were hoping to meet the caravan, take the goods, and then return back to Medina safe and sound. But that is not the way that the decree was. The decree was written that they must in fact meet the army from Mecca. And the reason, there's a very important reason for it. Because the Quraysh from Mecca were regarded as very, very high in the eyes of the entire Arabian Peninsula, because they were the custodians of the Kaaba. Basically, they were the royal family. They were royalty. They could do what they want to. And whenever they would raise their flags and go through the desert, they would be given VIP treatment. People would open the roads for them. None of the robbers would attack them. They would say, oh, the Quraysh delegation is coming. This is VIP protocol. And they would go wherever they wanted to. And they were regarded as so powerful, like first world countries in today's terminology. They were regarded like this is a force from America, or this is Russia, or this is China, or this is a very powerful force. So when the Quraysh now are coming towards Medina, and the entire Arabian Peninsula is watching what's going to happen, because they expected the Medina with 313 soldiers to be wiped out within a few minutes, because they knew that this was not a group of soldiers. And it was now, because the entire eyes were on this battle, it was a shock that rippled throughout the entire Arabian Peninsula when the Quraysh, this powerful force from Quraysh, lost the battle. In today's terminology or today's understanding, it is as if Australia conquered America, or Mauritius or Malawi conquered America. People will say, what are you talking about? How can Australia, these laid-back people, how can they conquer America? Or how can Mauritius, a holiday destination, how can they conquer America? Or how can Malawi conquer America? So it was that type of reverberations that shook the entire Arabian Peninsula, that how did this small force win this battle. And that is the reason why Allah, the decree was that they must meet, because this meeting of the Battle of Badr will shake the entire peninsula, not only 1400 years ago, but even up to modern times. Military schools throughout the world have studied this battle in intense detail to figure out how did a small force win a huge army with veteran soldiers who were finely tuned, polished soldiers. How did they win this battle? And it is for this reason that this was the beginning of the eternal and universal principle that truth prevails over falsehood and good prevails over evil. And this was the beginning of the end of the Quraysh and their ultimate downfall, and then the conquest and victory of Mecca. That those who died might die after a clear sign had been given, and those who lived might live after a clear sign had been given. And verily, Allah is He who hears and knows all things. Remember, in your dream, Allah showed them to you as few. If He had showed them to you as many, you would surely have been discouraged and you would surely have disputed in your decision. But Allah saved you, for He knows well the secrets of all hearts. So once again, this is a very, very powerful psychological incentive that Nabi Sal'lal'laa'hu A'layhi Was'sallam had a beautiful dream. But in the dream, he did not see 1,000 enemy soldiers. He saw very few. He saw very few. So when he woke up from the dream, he felt confident. He told his companions, look, don't worry. They are not a strong army. They are a very weak army. And by the grace of Allah, we will win this battle. So they were convinced to say that, okay, the battle is we're going to win the battle. So it's not as large as what we thought. It's a small army. It's not a big army. So already they were mentally motivated. They were ready for the battle. Meanwhile, on the other hand, the Quraysh on their side, they regarded the Muslims with contempt. They said, these guys are useless. This is a walkover for us. It's like saying Manchester United is going to have a soccer match with Rhodesia, or what's it called, Zambia, or even our local Soweto United, or Cape Town United, or Durban United. I don't know if you've got a soccer team called Durban United. But let's say we have Manchester United going to play Durban United. Now, Durban United, we know that you must have a bunny chow first before you go play soccer. So Durban United takes it as a fun game that, we could have a nice bunny chow, eat nicely, then we go play soccer whether we win or lose. But can you imagine if Durban United wins Manchester United? 5-0, they win them. People will go crazy. How did Durban United, with bunny chows in their stomach, how did they win Manchester United from Britain? So it'll be sent shockwaves through the world. Similarly, when the Quraysh, they were like the Manchester United, and the Muslims were like Durban United. So the Manchester United said, what, we'll win this match. So the Quraysh thought, we'll win this army. So they regarded the opposite team as with contempt. And that is why when the battle turned against them, they got the skirk of their life. And remember, when you met, He showed them to you as few in your eyes, and He made you appear as contemptible in their eyes, that Allah might accomplish a matter already enacted, for to Allah do all questions go back for decision. May your life be filled with barakah, blessings and afiyah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.